One time.
It's 4:20 somewhere, and right now that somewhere is right here. So hello, and welcome to the Cannabist Show. My name's producer Vince, and here's your host, Jake Brown.
Thanks to you, producer Vince, and welcome to the Cannabist Show, where we talk all things weed.
It's hashtag all things weed.
It is, and that's the serious marijuana news, along with the fun stuff as well. And if you check out thecannabis.co, you can find out what makes your weed turn purple.
For you not colorblind people out there.
You can watch Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg punt it up in their Super Bowl commercial.
And then watch it again and again and again.
And you can also read about Hunter S. Thompson's legacy being honored with a Gonzo strain.
I can't wait to give that a taste.
What's cracking, producer Vince?
You know, not a whole lot, but it is lack-a-lackin', dog. How are you doing, Jake?
I am doing well. It's lack-a-lackin',
Yeah, what's crackin'-a-lackin'-a-lackin'-a-lackin'?
Okay, Vince, do you need more Red Bull? What's going on?
It could be possible.
Do you smell toast?
No.
All right. Now it's time for the Week in Weed. I tried doing a producer Vince. It didn't work. Let's start here in Denver, where the ongoing saga of Richard Kirk, the Denver man accused of shooting his wife, Christine Kirk, after eating a marijuana edible, appears to be coming to a close. Kirk has changed his not guilty by reason of insanity plea, no longer claiming marijuana intoxication was responsible for his actions, and is now pleading guilty to second-degree murder and will serve 25 to 30 years in prison.
And Jake Kirk was believed to have eaten part of a candy that contained 10 servings of THC at 10 milligrams before acting erratically, jumping in and out of windows, and, according to Christine Kirk's 911 phone call, was, quote, talking about the end of the world and he wanted her to shoot him.
And it's a story made all the more tragic by the fact that Christine Kirk is survived by 3 children who will be adopted by her parents. After the plea was entered, the family released a statement saying, quote, "We miss Chris every day. We are grateful that this case has been resolved to save us from all of the stress of a trial."
Prosecutors are happy with the resolution, with Denver District Attorney Beth McCann saying, quote, "The family did not want the case to go to trial given the personal and emotional toll family members have already suffered," end quote.
Almost 3 years later, and there may finally be some closure for those involved in this tragedy. Staying in Colorado, the Retail Marijuana Public Health Advisory Committee just released a new report on public health related issues surrounding cannabis, and the numbers are fascinating. The Cannabist's own business and policy writer Alicia Wallace has a piece I highly recommend checking out, but one of the big takeaways is that emergency room visits and calls to poison control centers are down, even though people are still toking with the same frequency.
They also found that 21% of Colorado high school students had used marijuana in 2015 compared to 20% in 2013. So not the giant increase that some had predicted, as that's in line with the national average.
They also confirmed what I've always known, that the LGBT community loves their weed. 36.9% of those surveyed said that they had used cannabis in the last 30 days, compared to only 12.4% of their heterosexual counterparts. That's almost 3 times more.
And there were a couple areas of concern to the committee, including the finding that 6% of women in Colorado used marijuana during pregnancy, which is 2 percentage points higher than the national average. They also reported that 18% of parents don't store their stashes safely with kids in the household.
And some concerns over secondhand smoke made the list as well. We'll see what happens with the trends when the next report comes out in 2 years. Let's move to California now, where a possible drug deal got wrong made the headlines this week.
Big and bold, and they said...
The story begins with a carjacking in Pomona, but not just any car, a semi-truck.
Fast and Furious style?
Quite indeed, because police helicopters soon got involved and they spotted the truck nearby with 3 men unloading the contents of a vehicle into a backyard. Now, from the air, all they could see were large bags. Any guesses to what were in those bags, Vince?
Beans to make beanbag chairs with.
Unfortunately, that is incorrect. I wish I had the Week in Weed bell, or the
Pop quiz bell?
Yeah, not happening. 3 men unloaded a half-ton of weed into their home, which already contained 240 marijuana plants. Talk about greedy.
I know, man.
These kind of gray market shenanigans are exactly what legalization is aimed at ending, but recreational sales are still a long ways away in California.
Also, it's important to note here that the 2 victims of the carjacking were also arrested under suspicion of possessing marijuana for sale. So everyone is in hot water over this one, dude.
I think California is just happy to have water at this point.
That joke really boiled over.
Let's go to this week's quick hit, again from Alicia Wallace.
2017 may very well be the year marijuana gets its moment on the federal stage. But whether the end result is positive or negative for the nascent industry remains the multi-billion-dollar question. On Capitol Hill, a group of legislators formed the Congressional Cannabis Caucus with the aim of stirring up some action on marijuana law reform. Colorado Congressman Jared Polis said he's, quote, more hopeful than ever before about marijuana-friendly legislation. But could these efforts be a pipe dream? There's also a new lawman in town who has publicly disapproved of marijuana as recently as April. Attorney General Jeff Sessions may take a different stance than his predecessors when it comes to federal marijuana enforcement. To get a sense of some of the likely scenarios for the cannabis industry under Sessions, check out our coverage on thecannabis.co. I sat down with drug policy expert John Hudak, who laid out the directions Sessions could take. For The Cannabist, I'm Alicia Wallace with this week's Quick Hit.
Thanks, Alicia. Our first guest today started as a medical cannabis patient. Now he's the owner of a cannabis cultivation facility. Please join me in welcoming Danny Sloat to the show. Hey, Danny.
Hey.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Please join me here on the couch. I think that your story is an inspiration, and part of it is the fight that got you here. Can you tell me a little bit about what your life was like pre-cannabis?
Sure. When I turned 21, I was diagnosed with stomach pain, and it didn't fit the test. They didn't know what was going on, so the doctors started throwing opiates at it, and progressively got stronger. I eventually ended up on fentanyl, which I don't know if you know what that is, but...
No, that's kind of the epidemic right now, right?
Yeah,
that people that no longer respond to these opioid-based painkillers get on fentanyl, and then they're patch heads.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's like the medical term. But.
Yeah, I don't think so, but it's close. Patch and lollipops. So it's a very potent narcotic, 45 times stronger than heroin. So, I was kind of in a state of purgatory, not knowing what to do, seeking medical advice, physical therapy, injections, all that stuff. I had a non-cancerous brain tumor as well. So once that all got cleared up with surgery, I was still just using the painkillers and didn't know where to turn. I finally turned to medical cannabis, and it saved my life.
Now, how many prescriptions were you on at the max?
I think 19.
Okay, and then you started using medical cannabis?
Yeah, and went down to, I still have like an inflammatory stomach issue, so I still take a couple of medications, but, very benign stuff.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. My doctors had given up on me. It was a pretty substantial change.
Now, did you find medical cannabis on your own? Was this something that somebody recommended to you?
Yeah, my dad actually recommended it to me and kind of pushed me. Yeah,
Wait, what was that conversation like? Dad sits you down and goes, son, I think you might want to try pot?
Yeah, essentially. He helped start NORML in Colorado in the 70s. So him and my mom have definitely had their cannabis experiences and knew that it was harmless and much better than the opiates.
Now, you got started through a clone of Granddaddy Purple. It was the first strain I ever reviewed for the cannabis. I think it's interesting that your story kind of starts with finding the plant as opposed to really, where some people they find the end product and they stop there. What was that like, and what was it like connecting through the plant itself? Yeah,
so I'd always done gardening as like a form of therapy and just, a hobby, and the cannabis plant itself, I guess it just called to me, and I really... During that period of my life, I was in bed a lot, and growing helped me get out of bed, get active. Back then it was a very low-tech situation, lots of heat involved. It's a very hot work environment. The sweating helped me lose weight and just kind of get active again.
That's because you never hear about, there's a definite therapeutic part just from a mental state of being in a garden. It's very zen-like, but I've never heard anybody talk about excuse me, just the exertion and being in that hot environment.
Yeah, I mean, you know, back then I didn't have my temperatures dialed in or anything like that, so it was a messy, gross situation to say the least. You know, these days I'm able to keep our temperatures correct, and it's hot, but it's not, you know, sweat your ass off hot.
And so you ended up losing a bunch of weight kind of through this process?
Yeah, well, definitely through the growing and getting physical again, and all the, you know, required work for growing helped me lose weight, and then just getting replugged back into life and getting back into my normal activities, you know, in a large part thanks to cannabis.
I mean, you look like a pretty svelte guy, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
how much weight did you lose?
I think I was up to like between 190 and 200, so I've lost about, right now it's about 60 pounds.
You just described my weight right now,
yeah.
So I'm just like, oh God.
Well, I'm quite a bit shorter too, yeah.
No, but congratulations.
Thank you, yeah, and it was a really short, I mean, I would say within probably 4 months of starting cannabis, I was off the pain medication and back down to a healthy weight.
That's, wow. Now, so you get into cultivating. When does it start calling to you as a career?
Right away, I recognized that there would be a value in it, and I hoped one day to pursue that as a career. So what I started doing is I took a lot of horticulture classes at community college. I also worked in the hydro industry for a number of years. Yeah. So I mean, essentially right away.
Well, and what year did you, I mean, want to go kind of push the chips in and say, I want to grow cannabis for a living?
I mean, as soon as I started growing in 2009, I mean, I just recognized the value in it. And so geared my life towards that kind of right away.
I was looking online. You have a really interesting stock of genetics.
Yes.
And between, you got Lemmywinks, you've got some interesting CBD projects. What's really blowing you away right now in your garden?
Started with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Alien.
Which is just great.
It's a great name,
Where do you find that, where did those come from?
So that's bred by a company called Exotic Genetics. It's an awesome strain to grow, very unique terpenes and a great product all around. So I've just been using that and breeding with that. We did a South Park series, which is Soto Sopa. Lemmywinks come from that. You know, fans are local heroes here. So yeah, and then, you know, play with the CBD side of stuff. I mean, that's always been important to us. You know, the medical patient. While we're recreational, the medical patient is at our heart. So you know, a lot of CBD stuff too.
Yeah. Kind of walk me through, because breeding it's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of work that goes in selecting the right lines. Can you walk me through some of the pitfalls that you may have had while you were going through that breeding process?
Yeah, so initially at first it's kind of a shot in the dark, you know. You have a male and you have a female and you know what traits you want, but you don't know what traits are going to get passed on. So that first initial cross, when you grow those seeds out, you know, each one's going to be different, and you number them different phenotypes. And some of those are just, you know, some of them are fantastic, and some of them are just terrible. You know, you can have, you know, ones that are hermaphrodite and can risk pollinating and ruining your whole crop, and some of them, you know, you get lucky, and some are just stellar.
So you're rolling the dice.
It's definitely, when you first start out, it's definitely a roll of the dice for sure.
And you guys are doing some special R&D now?
Yes, yeah. So we have a strategic partnership with a company called Front Range Bioscience. You can check them out at frontrangebio.com. PhD in botany, a PhD in organic chemistry, looking to do things, plant tissue culture is a big one, to provide healthy, disease-free clones, and at some point for the wholesale market. The other thing we're looking at doing is genetic or marker-assisted breeding, rather. So that's where you
got to break that down.
Yeah, definitely. So you sequence a gene of the cannabis plant or a particular cultivar, and then you try to identify which traits are dominant genetically. So that way you can take a male plant and a female plant and say, this one has a dominant purple trait, this one also has a dominant purple trait. Put them together, we'll get a purple plant. Whereas before, you know, you kind of have to, you know, you can write that out longhand and try to figure that out statistically, but it's all kind of a roll of the dice in a certain respect. So this speeds up the process and will help us create a very stable product.
Do you think that's kind of the future of cannabis now?
Absolutely. I mean, this next level genetic sequencing people are doing these days with other crops is just, I mean, you know, some of these, like, you know, wheat and grapes, I mean, those breeding projects are multi-million-dollar projects, and they all are based off of this science.
So are you sourcing a bunch of different genetics, or is it kind of just working on what you have right now, establishing, you know, good stock and really getting to know that and then branching out?
Yeah, so I mean, so Front Range Biosciences, they work with some other people too, but right now we're focusing on sequencing the genes that I have. And eventually we'll branch out. You know, I mean, these tests are in the R&D phase themselves for cannabis, so you know, it doesn't really pay to do a whole bunch of things to try to, you know, look at the different genetic traits at once. So we'll start with one strain and kind of work our way from there.
When I feel like medically that could be really important because we're just starting to get there on CBD strains. What do you guys have that's going on in the CBD space, and where could people try it out?
Yeah, definitely. We have one of our more popular strains, CBD strains, is a strain we call Django. It's a CBD Jack Herrera. It's about a 1.5 to 1, so 15% CBD and 10% THC. It's very nice because it's a sativa high without the racing side effects and, of course, the medicinal benefits of CBD. Another strain we have is called Sister Wife. It's about a 20 to 1, so under a percent of THC. And that one's obviously great for medicinal benefits. And I really encourage people that are viewing this to go out there and try these CBD strains out, because a lot of times we find people don't necessarily want to, you know, pay money for it if they haven't tried it before. They're unfamiliar with it, and they end up loving it. So if you get an opportunity, you know, give them a shot. As far as where we're available, we are a very small grow, and so...
how many square feet?
We are about 3,000 square feet.
3,000. How many lights?
We're about 80 lights, but we use low wattage lights, so we have more numerous fixtures of lower watts. And so it's hard for me to know where our stock is available, you know, at all times. So I would refer to our website, www.alpinstash.com. Keep you updated on our, you know, latest drops and things like that. Very cool.
As somebody who kind of found cannabis to, you know, help you treat what you had going on, what would you say to somebody that's out there that's listening or watching that might be on the fence about trying medical cannabis?
Yeah, give it a shot. I mean, you know, when you're in that kind of medical limbo of tests and therapies and maybe surgeries and medications for the side effects of the medications, I mean, you really got nothing to lose in the first spot. You know, secondly, it's such a holistic healing process that it's really, you know, treats the overall, for a lot of people, for me, it treated the overall issue, not just the pain, but the associated, you know, psychological issues that had built up over years of, you know, opiate use. So, I mean, really, if you want to get better and you're sick of, you know, bouncing around the medical world, like, give it a shot, you know. And I would tell people, you know, pick a TV series or some videos or something you want to watch. You know, if you haven't tried cannabis before, you know,
have something to keep your mind occupied.
Yeah, or something to get into. I mean, you know, when you're in that kind of chronic pain world, you know, you just want to break from it. And sometimes spacing out and watching, you know, a TV show is what you need. So take a couple hits, put on that movie, and, you know, just sit back and enjoy.
Sounds like every Friday night at my house.
Yeah. Then you learn that, you know, it's a lifestyle you can apply, you know, in different aspects.
Absolutely. Danny, thank you so much. I'm going to have you slide on down the couch, and we'll be back with you in just a little bit. But first, let's go to our own definer of dank, Professor Pat, with this week's entry into the new cannabis lexicon.
Cherried. When a bowl stays lit and no lighter is needed. This usually happens late in the bowl, but if your weed is super dry, it can happen from the start. For example, nah, keep the lighter, it's cherried.
Thank you, Professor. Our second guest is the co-founder of an app that lets you add paraphernalia to your text messages. Welcome to the Cannabist Show, Ben Tyson. Hey, Ben.
Hi.
How's it going, man?
Going well.
Grab a seat. All right, so Kushmoji. I'm 34 years old. I can barely find the emoji section on my phone. What is a Kushmoji?
Kushmoji is just a regular emoticon that's installed into the keyboard of your phone, except all the Kushmoji emoticons are cannabis-centric.
Okay, do you have any examples?
Yeah, sure. Here,
Okay, so are we getting...
Yeah, sure, I can show you some.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so I think I know this one. So we're looking at cannabis leaf. Where are we at? Can we zoom in on this? Hey, there we go. Okay, so I've got that one. I'm 1 for 1, right?
Yeah, if you can't get that one, then there's a problem.
Yeah, then I'm in the wrong place. A torch. For making creme brulee. We've got just a lady smoking a doob or a man with great nails. I'm not here to judge.
So they're just basic emoticons, except for what I just showed you were our standard emoticon set.
Okay.
The difference, between Kushmoji and other emoticons, even other cannabis emoticons, is that we're turning the whole thing into an educational and a marketing tool for brands.
So what's the education point on that?
Sure. So what we realize is that there's such a plethora of different products and devices in the space, different vaporizers, different tools, that a lot of people simply don't know what they are, right?
Right. They're like creme brulee torch. What's going on?
Exactly, right? So what we can do is we can take any of these tools, even branded tools, and we illustrate them using our technique to turn them into emoticons. So it's not just a photorealistic JPEG. It's actually, a vectorized, nice illustration, almost like a caricature of that item.
So vectorized means that it can scale. It's not going to get fuzzy or blurry.
Exactly. Okay. So, for example, we might get a picture of a new type of torch on the market, right? Okay. We're supplied with this picture, and then we take it to our illustration team, and they turn it into a fun, almost like a caricature of that tool, right?
That's fun.
So we place that into the app, and then as you're going through the various categories, and here's cannabis products, for example. Right. You can send that to anybody. They receive it.
You go, what is this? And
exactly, but inside the keyboard, we talk about that product. We say, hey, this is what this product is. This is how it's made. This is the company that makes them. This is why they're so unique. So, we're showcasing products inside the keyboard.
Okay, so I love that because I went around, you guys haven't launched yet, you're launching soon, but I went around and I tried to play with some of the other weed emoji keyboards out there. I was very frustrated very quickly.
Right, and we saw that when we were first exploring this idea. That was one of the first things we did. We looked at the competition, and there's, there's some that are better than others, but what we found in general was that most of the competition was doing kind of, the cannabis subculture graphics. Stone faces or just a lit joint.
I did see a lot of stoned, looking weird emojis out there.
Exactly. So we thought, well, that's only such a small percentage of the demographic of cannabis users, cannabis enthusiasts. We thought, why don't we turn this into a tool where people can learn about the industry?
Absolutely. Dan, do you use any weed-related emoticons?
I haven't, mostly because they're very a stereotypical and sometimes negative connotation.
What do you use instead of? Because I use a lot of regular emoticons to mean weed.
Right. Like trees and
you got trees,
the puff,
the puff, little maple leaves.
Yeah. The wake and bake. You might.
There's a wake and bake.
Yeah, well, that's a very common.
Up and then
you take traditional emoticons, and people say, "Hey, what are you doing?" Oh, it's a wake and bake, and they send standard emoticons A, B, C, D. Well, what we try to do is take that and turn it into a single emoticon, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
Are emoticons subversive at all? Are there people that are like, listen, I'm not gonna say it in words, I'm gonna send it through pictures?
They certainly can be. Okay. Although if someone says, hey, what are you up to? And then you get a picture of the logo of this dispensary followed by this chocolate bar, followed by weed, followed by some bacon, and then a video game controller. You can only be so subversive in that context.
Do I need to have it if you have it? Can you send me?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can receive any of the emoticons just like a regular text message, but if you want to send your own, then you have to download the app on the iPhone. We don't have it for Android yet, but that will be coming in the spring.
Android listen, there are so many apps that I would love to get. They're only in the Apple iStore. I don't even know what it's called. Are you
the App Store?
The App Store.
The App Store.
Well, okay, that's good to know from somebody who really doesn't care for Apple products. But are you running into any issues with trying to get into these, as some other companies have kind of experienced?
Well, not really, and it's not to say that in the future those aren't battles that we're constantly going to be fighting, because it always is. Right. But the nature of our app is that we're not necessarily facilitating the sale of the product, and that's really where a lot of the tech apps get in trouble. So as an educational tool, as a communication tool, we don't have to, we're not up against the same regulations that other marketing efforts are. And that's actually another reason that we started this company, because from a marketing perspective for these brands, in such a fast-growing and competitive space that has tremendous regulations in all the marketing, it's sometimes hard to get that brand exposure. So when we're going to, participating brands and saying, do you want to take your products and put them in here? Now they have a platform that's fairly unregulated. People are on their SMS app more than they're on any other component of their phone, and all of a sudden they can communicate their product and their website, their information through the keyboard faster than almost any other medium. So,
and you've got users discovering new products, new brands through this.
Exactly.
Okay, so that was because I was going to ask. It seems like there's a lot of regulations based around marketing, depending on what state you're in. Colorado has different rules than Washington, and California will have undoubtedly. So what's kind of how do you manage that as an app developer?
Right. So we're tackling that right now as we get into that space of the deployment portion of the development. But when a user downloads the app, we confirm first of all that they're 21. Then we ask them for their location, and based on the location.
If I'm 18, I can't get on. I can't Kushmoji.
We're not going to let you Kushmoji if you're 18.
All right, fair enough.
So that doesn't mean you can't send a Kushmoji to someone younger, because that's not inherently illegal. Because it's just you're sending.
But don't be
an
a
emotional
creep if you're out there. Don't be sending Kushmojis to minors.
Right.
You weirdos.
Yeah, definitely do
not
that.
Cool.
Don't do that. But we collect the location, and then not only does that determine some of the use case scenarios inside the app, but it also determines what icons they see. So if you're in LA and you're using Kushmoji, you're going to see the brands and the products that are more prevalent in that area than you would if you're here in Denver.
And I just have to give you access to my location. I'm comfortable doing that. No problem there.
Right. And your social security number.
So as long as it's not my mother's maiden name, I hold that very near and dear to my heart. Ben, what were you doing before you got into the app game?
Yeah, sure. So I own a company called Beta Killers. And Beta Killers is a technology rapid prototyping laboratory. So what we do is we focus on.
Thank you for explaining. You saw my deer in the headlights.
I did. No, what we realize is that there's a lot of people who have great ideas, but it gets stuck, from the idea. And so we say, let's plant the seed of an idea, and primarily in technology. And what we specialize in is growing that into something ready to experience higher growth. So we focus on very early stage prototyping of ideas. Then we go out and look for strategic partners, capital, other teams to take over, and we do that with a lot of different technologies. Not exclusively in cannabis, but fairly heavily. With Kushmoji, we realized the opportunity we had with this. I don't know if you knew this, but emoticons are the fastest growing form of communication on Earth.
Yeah, it's certainly not people that are reading my column, I can tell you that.
So if you combine that with the phenomenon of the cannabis industry, it's just kind of a perfect fit. I was lucky enough to do a joint venture on this with Cannabrand and Olivia Mannix, and you were asking about the marketing regulations. That is her bread and butter. So I handle the tech and the product. She handles the marketing, user acquisition, and it's a really good team. But we're excited about it.
If people are excited about it, they're listening to it. How do they get in the ground floor?
So like you said earlier, we haven't launched yet, but we are going to be doing an invite-only closed launch this month. So if you go to Kushmoji.io, there's a field for you to fill out your phone number, and when you do that, you join our list. And some point in the next couple weeks, you might get a text message from us saying, hey, we're inviting you in, and then you get to use the app. At some point later on in the spring, we're doing a full release.
I'm looking forward to that text message right now. It's just a lot of ones from Sonic telling me about corn dogs and the amazing bulk deals I can get on them. Let's bring Danny back in, because gentlemen, as you know, I always like to ask what everyone's preferred consumption type of cannabis is, whether it's edibles, flower, or concentrates. You kick it off?
I like flower.
You're a flower guy.
Yeah, flower guy.
So is it always been flower for you?
No, I've definitely edibles and concentrates as well, but
yeah,
I just like the flower. It's my preferred method. I mean, I grow it and I love to try it. So
yeah, I think it's kind of an old school thing now.
It is, definitely.
Do you have like a preferred way? Do you roll it up? Do you got a favorite? You got a
bubbler,
named pipe? What's your bubbler named?
Treehouse.
Treehouse.
Yeah, that's the brand.
Okay.
And then I do joints every now and then. I've been playing around with glass tips on the joints. I don't know if you ever tried those out.
Well, like Hunter S. Thompson and Fear and Loathing kind of thing?
Yeah, just a small, instead of that paper roach or crutch you have there, it's just a glass one.
Oh,
that makes a really awesome experience.
Well, that's a great tip.
Yeah, definitely check them out.
What about you, man?
I phase back and forth.
Okay.
Currently flower.
Yeah? What's the alternate phase?
Definitely edibles.
Yeah?
But, maybe it was just too much a couple times in a row.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stick with flowers for a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
I'm in the same boat, by the way. Yeah. I did edibles for a while and then got a little too out there and rein it back in.
I'm a very deep, introverted consumer.
Okay.
And so my mind goes in places on edibles that it's just, I'll stick with flowers for a little bit.
We've all been there.
Right.
Was it like trying to push your limits, or you're like, oh, maybe I'll try 5 more milligrams this time, or inconsistent?
No, it definitely wasn't me saying, ooh, I'm going to push the boundaries. It was just a couple experiences where I was like, this is, I need to back off a little bit.
We've all been there.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk to you guys because you're both kind of on opposite sides of the industry. So I want to talk about, Danny, how is tech affecting what you're doing in the grows? And then, Matt, how are grows affecting what you're doing in tech? Because I feel like these are kind of 2 areas of the industry that don't have a chance to talk to each other very much. Now I got you here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, your emoji app sounds awesome for somebody like me that's trying to do with brand identification. In terms of other tech, there's lots of grow tech out there. Controlling different environmental aspects from your smartphone. My grow is a pretty low tech grow. We do a lot of hands-on work, so we kind of our biggest piece of technology is pitchers for watering, and obviously the computers for the inventory tracking software and things like that, but in general my grow is pretty low tech.
Yeah, I hear kind of differing opinions on that. There's some people that say, hey, if I'm there watering every day, I have a connection with all these plants. But then conversely, I hear people are like, yeah, but with a little bit of automation or with some data, it'd free me up to do other things. Are you looking to move into more tech as it goes on, or do you really like having that one-to-one connection?
I like the one-to-one connection. I use organic-based nutrients. They're a little bit thicker, so they don't go through the automated watering systems very well. So that's part of it. The other part of it, I think it's really important that a plant gets what it needs when it needs it, and not just a standard treatment. Plus that one-on-one time with the plant to check things over, works wonders.
Yeah, you got the stick shift. You don't want a manual right now. You're happy to get in there and do the work.
Yeah, definitely.
What about what's happening on the grow side and how that kind of impacts what Kushmoji is doing?
Yeah, no, it's really important, and for me personally as an entrepreneur and a technologist, learning about the systems and the mechanisms that they're using in their grow and then getting their produce out into the market, to me I look at it and say, how can we help improve the way that these businesses and these grows interact with their consumers? It's something that I'm constantly thinking about and constantly educating myself on.
Right.
And certainly when it comes to your area of expertise, I feel just like an ignoramus.
Well,
and I'm so impressed when I meet people like you that have such a deep intrinsic knowledge of the biology behind all this.
Oh, thank you.
And so
yeah,
for me it's just trying to learn a little every day. And
if so, Danny comes up with a new strain. Can it be Kushmoji'd?
Absolutely.
Well, we'll have to talk after this.
We can.
New strains is my game. So
we could take the AlpinStash logo. We can put it right into our keyboard, and when someone clicks it, they can see any unique imagery that you would like to attach to your grows, whether it's your products or anything you want, and help help get the word out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine that you can kind of on the back end do that kind of stuff in real time almost.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And we, I'll mention that right now we're doing a 90-day free trial period with any brands that wants to get involved and give us their products. We're taking all of them in right now while we work on our business model and figure out what the next steps are. So we definitely want to be the central resource for the characterization of products in the industry.
Well, and so can you do like a caricature of a person? Because I think, Danny, let's get your face in there. You're a handsome young man.
Thank you.
Let's make him into a Kushmoji.
We have a phenomenal illustrator on our team, and he would just make you look beautiful as a vectorized emoticon.
That's awesome. The Cannabist Show, making connections.
Yeah.
But now it is time for the Pot Quiz, where we see if our guests know what's happening in the world of weed. We flipped a coin before the show, and Ben is up first. Ben, are you ready?
Oh boy.
I'm going to take that "oh boy" as a yes.
You know, coming 2 weeks up into a launch, you live in your own little world. So I'm a little nervous about this.
I'm going to give you some options.
All right,
here we go. Question number 1. California Senate Bill 175 would make it illegal to name your business after what? Is it A, a county that it wasn't produced in, B, a parody of a cartoon character, C, a state monument or park, or D, national treasure Richard Simmons?
Ooh, I'm leaning towards D, but
I was going to say.
I don't know for certain, but I'm going to go with National Park Monument.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. We have a chance to steal over here. Danny, was it? You can't name your business after a county that your product wasn't produced in, a parody of a cartoon character, or national treasure Richard Simmons?
I'll go with the county, A.
That is correct.
I did see some mouthing from the observation part of the room, though.
Oh, so, do we have some signals going on off camera? All right, I'm dialed in over here. Thank you, producer Vince. I think this ultimately stems from people that in Humboldt County don't want anyone ripping off their name.
Yeah, fair enough. I should have probably guessed that.
I also like the state park, and I would buy some Golden Gate OG, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, now I'm thinking about Richard Simmons.
Oh boy.
Hayes.
I'm thinking about a Richard Simmons Kushmoji.
Perfect.
Oh
Let's do it.
Well, I mean, and you could say, man, this nug sparkles like a pair of his shorts. It's, that's the image I have in my mind. Let's get it out of there and go to Danny with question number 2.
It's stuck in there for a while now.
All right. Which weed pun was not featured in Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg's Super Bowl commercial? A, Cannabist, B, purple cushy throw pillows, C, baked Alaska, or D, herb roasted lamb chops?
It was C. I have to say the Cannabist was awesome, though.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, how did they get there?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that is correct. Congratulations. All right.
I just watched that today.
I thought it was good.
I saw it, yeah.
Those two, have you seen their show that they do? I think it's on VH1 now.
I have not yet.
It's ridiculous. I hope it comes back for season 2, but aren't they just two little peas in a pod?
They are. It's destiny.
The perfect match.
It is truly. All right, Ben, we're going to give you a chance to get on the board here. Which Midwestern state is set to hear an 81-page bill on its brand new medical marijuana law this week? Is it A, Iowa, B, Minnesota, C, Ohio, or D, one of the Dakotas?
I'm going to say the Dakotas.
That is correct.
North Dakota.
Yes, that is also true.
Did I just take the lead? Wait, no, I tried.
I
gave him 2 points for it.
All right, we're all tied up there. Listen, it was the best value. I'm giving 2 Dakotas for the price of one of them.
Hey, that is true. That is true.
All right. So this is for a chance to win.
All right.
All the marbles. Which recreational state has been recently struggling with allowing weed consumption at pot shops? Allowing the consumption at the pot shops. Is it A, Oregon, B, Colorado, C, Alaska, or D, Nevada?
That's going to be Alaska.
That is correct! And Danny is our winner.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah. It looks like they may still have some consumption going on up there.
It's
still, it's very up in the air.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest benefit? Is it people that can try on site and really have a conversation, or is it just some people don't have a place to smoke?
Both of those. I mean, and then I think knowing your product is really important. But from me as a business owner and a brand developer, being able to have that kind of microbrewery model where you have have a tour, and see, and kind of like a tap house where you get to try the products with the people that know about it.
The tap house model it is.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's in the books. That's it for this episode of The Cannabis Show. Thank you so much to Danny Sloat of AlpinStash and Ben Tyson of Kushmoji for joining us. And thank you for listening at home. Don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe to The Cannabis Show podcast, or visit us on thecannabis.co and watch our goofy faces. For producer Vince and the entire staff here at The Cannabis Show, we'll see you next week. Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
I'm allowed to lose, I choose to win. I'm all in, I'm calling any posse you'll be raising at the end. I'll say it again, ain't afraid to get in. I'll be going for the jackpot with aces in my hand, I'm raw.
Yeah, it's more fun when we get into the